Hi, my name's Tom Dunn, and I'm your substitute teacher. Today we're going to be discussing science. Is everybody ready? So a simple way to explain science is to take a look at a tree. You see trees every day, but you don't really ever think that much about them. But when you look inside of the leaves, you'll see that it's really complex. When you put a leaf under the microscope and you look, you'll see a whole bunch of cells, and those cells are called chloroplasts. Now, those cells aren't green. Inside of the cells, you'll see a bunch of little green dots, and those are chlorophyll, and that's why the leaves are green. When you take a look inside of the chlorophyll, you'll see that that's how the plant makes its food. It produces things like sugar. The plant does this by absorbing energy from the sun. It also gets energy from when we breathe. When we breathe, we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, CO2. The plants then absorb the CO2 and use that to make carbohydrates, which are the sugars that the plants use to fuel themselves. When it rains, the plant uses its roots to absorb the water. And as you know, water is H2O, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. And it uses the hydrogen to help produce the food, but the oxygen, it gets rid of it, which is how the plants create oxygen. So it's interesting to see how everything cycles. We get our oxygen from plants, and plants get their carbon dioxide from us. If you've ever eaten syrup, it comes from trees because it's the carbohydrates that the trees make. It's really fascinating. When you compare a tree to a factory, trees are, a really quiet, clean factory in comparison to factories that we've built that produce pollution. Another example of how science works is to take a look at the ocean. The first 300 feet of depth of an ocean, you can take a drop from that and take a look at it under a microscope, and you'll see that there are little plants inside of it. And those are called phytoplankton. They're just like trees, they're plants. And they follow the same process that trees do to create energy. They take in CO2 and metabolize it and release oxygen. One of the biggest animals in the ocean is the blue whale. It's really huge. It's 100 feet long, and it weighs about 150 tons. It's really, really heavy. The heart alone weighs 1,000 pounds. And then the entire circulatory system altogether weighs 14,000 pounds. When you look at a blue whale swimming, it may look lazy, but it's really not. A team of investigators put a tracker on a blue whale and followed it and let it go for about 10 months to see how far it had gone, and it had gone 10,000 miles. So they weren't swimming lazily, they were going really quickly. Another animal would be dolphins that live in the ocean. And they tend to swim in depths up to 120 feet. But one dolphin broke that record and went down 1,025 feet. And that's never been heard of. When you go down that deep in the water, the pressure down there is so strong. You have to understand, dolphins breathe air just like us, and they have lungs. But when you go down that far, your lungs collapse. So it's fascinating to look at how the dolphins manage to survive down there. Their muscles actually store oxygen. So when they go down that far and their lungs close up, the muscles come to life and release all of this oxygen, so that way the heart can pump oxygen to the brain and keep the brain working. When the dolphin comes back to the surface and its lungs open back up, it starts breathing normally again.